Good afternoon to the Conscious Living Network, Conscious Living Radio community, anybody out there in the Facebook world, digital world. My name is Mark Caron, and this is kind of a new episode, a little spin-off of Conscious Living Radio for 100.5 CFRO Co-op Radio in Vancouver. And we're doing things a little differently because the studio where we normally air Conscious Living Radio is actually closed due to the current situation in the world today. And we're looking to want to keep bringing you some fresh programming, some different perspectives, and really keep the spirit of community going. So welcome to Conscious Conversations. My name's Mark Caron. We're a spinoff of, again, Conscious Living Radio. And today I'm here with a very great friend of mine. I've known Rama for, about 13 and a half years now. And I'm really just glad to have her on the program and have a great conversation in regards to what's going on in the world, how we can take action and make the best of these most interesting times. Welcome, Rama.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to share today, and definitely very interesting times right now. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I hope everyone's doing well, and for the places that you're allowed out still, that you're getting out and getting some exercise and eating clean and all that good stuff.
Yeah, well, it's really important, I think, in these interesting times that we really take advantage. That a lot of people have more time on their hands than they've ever really had before. Mm-hmm. And, that gives us an opportunity to go within and kind of, do the things we've been putting off doing. I know I've been doing exactly just that. If there's one thing I've learned, and Rama and I, we actually met crewing for Tony Robbins at UPW here in Vancouver back in 2007, and I just got to say, some of the tools I learned in that community and on my path of personal growth and development, it really prepared me to really have a great mindset in these times that we're dealing with. I'm just making the best of it and preparing and planning and really enjoying, the space and the time, even though I'm just as busy as I ever have been. We're just making the best of it. How about you? What do you see in your world going on?
Well, I work from home, so, I see a lot of the same kind of stuff as well. But I'm really seeing on social media how social media is really playing a big role right now for people, and how it's kind of governing how they walk through life. And I think that that's an important conversation to have today, because I've seen so many people, being unkind to one another. And so I made a post on Facebook a few days back kind of addressing that. I had made numerous posts with questions, just curious about people's perception, what their choices would be based on the information that they have around, like 5G and vaccines and all these things, and genuinely wanting to understand where the collective was at. And I found it to become quite fascinating with 150 plus comments and people wanting to argue and have their point of view seen. And yeah, it was quite fascinating. So, like I said, I wrote a post to it a couple of days ago, just really speaking to that experience that I had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's fantastic. I want to get in. I want you to read that post for everybody so that we can get a gist of what you're talking about, because it was really quite powerful for me. And then let's kind of unpack it and have a conversation around it. Because I think it's just great stuff. If we can give anybody some tools, some inspiration, and some ideas, especially if they're struggling out there, right? Even though I don't like that word struggle, it's like, how do we unstruggle?
Right. And I think it's also, a call to action for people to really step up in who they're being right now. Because here's the thing, we can all be afraid. There's a lot of stuff going on right now that I think can bring up a lot of fear for people. So who are we going to show up as in that? Are we going to unite together, or are we going to separate ourselves even more? So who do you choose to be in these times?
So I'm glad that you said that, because I want to segue with what you're going to share with something that was really quite profound for me. And you know how I love linguistics and the power of words and such.
Yes.
And one of our homies, David Resmer, we were talking in the backyard the other day, and it was just like, bang, you are right on the money. And I'm actually going to work on today because I want to start something with this whole movement in terms of our language.
Mm-hmm.
And what that is really, screw this social distancing, right? Let's not social distance. What we are doing, people, is we are physical distancing, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're being physically distant. Let's not be socially distant.
Right.
Let's be socially tighter and closer than we ever have been before, because
Yeah.
let's face it, the way we survive anything in this world today, any catastrophe, whatever it is in community. And
Totally.
community is about social, right?
Mm-hmm.
And social interaction, connecting and supporting each other.
Totally.
So I want to encourage everybody, let's start a movement right now, today. We're not social distancing anymore. Absolutely not. However, we will accept social responsibility and we will physical distance. Absolutely. So
Right.
please say hi to people in the stores from your 6 feet away, and hey, give them a bonus, a couple of feet, just, if it's important to them to feel safe, which is great.
Yeah.
But have a great conversation. Have a heartfelt conversation at these times with your neighbors, because some people are having some challenging times.
Yeah.
I'm blessed to, I'm very grateful right now to be living in a community environment, because it gives us an opportunity for social. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if I live by myself, as I know you do, it would be a very, very different experience. So I just think social interaction is paramount and super important at these times. But
Yeah.
let's not social distance. Enough social distancing. No more social distancing. Physical distancing. No more.
We're gonna have to
Okay.
make one of those stickers.
Yeah, exactly. It's time to start a little movement. I think it's great. So let's talk about your post.
Sure. So should I read,
Let's give it.
read it?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
that'd be a great way to start. Thank you.
Yeah. And so thank you for everyone for your patience. It's a little bit of a longer post, but I think it's really relevant and really important in these times, and a good reminder of, again, who we're being and how we're choosing to show up. So what I wrote was, excuse me, after a few days of being curious and genuinely reaching out, asking questions to understand more of the collective thinking, I've come to the conclusion that many, not all, people aren't interested in learning, growing, finding solutions, or listening to others' points of view. It would seem that many are more interested in pushing their opinions and judgments on one another. Many, not all, think they are right or have the answers, even if they aren't qualified to speak to a subject. What if none of us are right? How does anyone really know anything unless we've done it or seen it with our own two eyes and touched it with our own hands? Where's the curiosity to learn? Where's the humility? I'm seeing how many people want to surround themselves with only those who see things the same way as they do. I see people bullying, judging, shaming, and tossing people out, laughing at how many people we've unfriended. When did we become such a cruel and throwaway society? Where did we forget how to have kindness and compassion in our hearts for one another? I'm a little disheartened by what I've been witnessing. I now see why so many people are fearful, distrusting, and guarded in this kind of world. This is not the kind of world I would be proud of or want to live in. Have we still not learned that hurting others is just hurting ourselves? Have we forgotten that we're still all connected? I'm sorry, and I'm deeply sorry, for anyone who's felt the hurt or pain of those who have shown anything less than kindness, compassion, curiosity, and caring. I'm sorry to anyone that has experienced or been treated in a way less than the magnificent being that you are. My heart goes out to those who haven't healed parts within that have them speak and act in unconscious and unkind ways. I pray for them to feel deeply loved and to love themselves. I pray you remember the truth and magnificence of who you are. I'd like to believe that we've grown and evolved more than some of the things I've seen. I'm calling to the deepest parts within each of us to step forth and lead with our hearts. My wish is that anyone reading or listening to this takes a step back and a deep look at who you've been showing up as during all of this. Are you proud of yourself? Things you've been doing and saying? If your answer isn't 100% yes, I invite you to dig deep. Look within and change your direction moving forward. I feel blessed and grateful to have the amazing friends and family I have in my life. Relationships where respect, compassion, love, and appreciation is shared, even if we don't see things the same way. This is a world that I'm proud to live in. There is much healing needed now, more than ever. Now is the perfect time to go within and do the deeper work so we can all be free, come together and live in a perfectly beautiful world. One where we unite and where it's all co-created by us. No matter what your beliefs are, you have choice in who you show up as and what you add to the collective. Will you fan the flame of separation or lead the way by example with respect, humility, service, compassion, kindness, and love? What kind of leader will you be, and what kind of world will you now create?
Wow. So profound on so many levels. Now, do you have that available in front of you, or you can share it in the comments of our...
Yeah, sure. You can actually find it on my Facebook or on our Heart of Combo Facebook page as well.
Okay, well,
shared. Both of them are.
Well, let's. Okay, you're going to go make me look right now, then. All right. So then let me ask you this: where did the inspiration for this post come from?
Honestly, in my life, I have found that there's something deeper inside that guides me. And so, just honestly seeing and experiencing, I could deeply feel the sadness and the unkindness that people, were projecting on one another. And so it had me just dig deep within myself. During this, I've been asking myself a lot of questions, and I've been posting a lot of questions. Because again, at the end of the day, how do we know what's real and what's not? Do we go with all of the mainstream media? Do we go with some of the other the other people that are out there that are conspiracy theorists? I mean, how do we know what's true? We don't know. I think at the end of the day,
how do we know it? And how do we know it's not true?
Well, it's true. How do we know what's true and what's not true? And people, it seems like people are dividing right now based on something that they actually don't know themselves. They're either not qualified to know, or, we can jump down the whole rabbit hole of that, to get it into, okay, well, who's done the studies? Who's paid for the studies? My dad is in the health industry, health and nutrition industry, and he taught me a long time ago to look at who's doing the research. So we can jump down that rabbit hole until the days, to come. But
yeah. And I would say not just who's doing the research, but follow the money.
Well, and yeah, you could say that too. But also, honestly, at the end of the day, who cares? At the end of the day, well, listen, I have jumped down the rabbit hole of conspiracy theory. I've jumped down the rabbit hole of quantum physics and quantum mechanics. And at the end, I went, okay, great. Now what? At the end, I think we all just want to be free. We want to be loved. We want to have abundance in all areas of our life. We want financial abundance. We want our families to be happy and healthy. And everybody wants to live the best life they can, happy. And they want to make an impact. A lot of people want to make the most impact they have, or they can while they're here. And share their gifts with the world and feel like they make a difference. So why don't we focus on that? We can just keep doing this back and forth and arguing all day long, but it's not going to make a difference in what's happening right now. Take action where you feel passionate about it. Check in with yourself My invitation to people is, before you get into an argument on Facebook or any of these things, ask yourself, like, stop for a second. I do this with myself too. I stop for a minute. I check in with myself. One, is this going to be helpful in any way? Is it going to even make a difference? Is it just going to create more separation? Is it going to add to the collective, or is it going to just add to, again, that separation of us all? So, we have that opportunity to step up as leaders. This is a time, and whether you think it's a great awakening, or you think it's a conspiracy theory, or whatever you think, it's an opportunity for us to, on the other side, step into something so much more powerful than the lives we've been living. We have an opportunity to look within ourselves, check in within ourselves. Why do we want to argue with people? Go into that. Look for where the healing is needed.
Well, here's because people are looking for certainty in these uncertain times, because things don't make sense. There's a lot of stuff that in the traditional world of what we've believed to be true, things no longer make sense. And there is so much contradictory information, right? Where mainstream media tells you one thing, and then there's a lot of credible information about things on the other side.
Right.
So it's creating these divided camps. And you said it best. This is a time we need to be sticking together and supporting each other. Believe what you want to believe. Respect each other's differences, because in the end, here's what I know. We talk about what's true and not true. And Felicia Merrills, who's watching, she says, sure, we know it's true. If we sit in silence, our greater self speaks.
Absolutely.
Right? And I think that that's so true. And see, I'm not really afraid of what's going on out there. I'm staying close to home, working from home, because I have that ability, and I just don't need to go to the office. I'm now broadcasting a radio show from home today. So if anybody's listening, we're airing on 100.5 CFRO radio in Vancouver, Co-op Radio in Vancouver, where they've closed the station down. So we're looking to have some fresh programming. So here we are, Conscious Conversations on Conscious Living Radio with my friend Rama. I just want to give a shout out, because Co-op Radio is a community-based, nonprofit, volunteer-run radio station. And they are starting their 45th fundraiser drive. If you value what they're doing, the work they do in community, please go to coopradio.org, and you can actually make a donation there. We're looking to raise some funds so we can improve better things in the station. And that being said, as we move forward, we talk about community. Here's what it is for me. In my now, in my present moment, at home, I am happy, I am healthy. My now, my moment, my reality. And if we talk about living in the present and being in the moment, this is what's real to me. I don't know what tomorrow brings, because tomorrow never comes. Tomorrow is always going to be another tomorrow. Right. So I'm making the best and the most of the time that I have, and I'm being grateful. My frustrations really I turn into appreciation, because, things are going gangbusters for everything that we're doing now. We're not doing any live events because that's changed. We're adapting and going online and doing some things, because we want to really make a difference for people in the world, and any of our viewers, any of our community, anybody. If we can help anybody have a nugget, a tool to make their life even better, because my uncle actually committed suicide because of all this. A couple of weeks ago, I got a phone call from my father.
And that's happening a lot right now as well.
Yeah, he was 83 years old. His life was hanging out with his buddies and coffee and all of those things. The fear got to him. Couldn't hang out, socially isolated. And unfortunately, he took his old life based, fear and isolation. And, he's not the first and only one. And if I can do anything, I want to help people make the best of these most interesting times, because this is a great time to plan and prepare. But let's go back to community, about sticking together, and when we come back to whether it's conspiracy theory or whatever it is you believe, let's just be socially responsible, regardless what you believe. There's so much, 5G, everything right now.
Why do we have to agree? I see people just joking and laughing about how funny it is that they are unfriending people on social media. And it's like, my question to you is, one, why is that okay? When did we become a throwaway society? Why do you need everybody to see things exactly the same way as you? And if they don't, then you unfriend them and push them away. And I've noticed this for some years. And, I've I've had numerous conversations around this. What, like, how did we become such a throwaway society? It's, where do we invite people to have a different kind of conversation, to be open, to see possibility? Why does it have to be one way?
Mm-hmm.
And I think I hope that people ask themselves that question. I really do. I hope that in this conversation that we're having, that it might open some people up to who they're being and how they're showing up during these times. If you're
Mm-hmm.
not proud of yourself, if you're not 100% looking at it, if you thought about if your children or your parents were watching you, or your God or your creator or whatever, would that person, or that, would that greater good be proud of you? And if your answer is no, or not 100% yes, then there's some work to be done right now. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's,
Absolutely.
you know,
And it's a great time to do the work while we have some time.
absolutely. We all have asked for time. I mean, I've had some friends say, "Hey, listen, I think it'd be great if every year or every 5 years we shut everything down for a month and everybody just got to go and live their life without all of the stress, with all of it."
No kidding, right?
It's almost like people are addicted to they're addicted to doing. We already know this, doing and all of the like drama. It seems
Mm-hmm.
quite fascinating. One of the things
Well,
also,
what?
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was
um,
something else, so please share.
well, it was just, when you're talking about that time and the addiction to drama and things, there's a whole psychological side of that, which we're not going to go down that rabbit hole, which we can always, talk about at some other
Right.
time. But it's we have this, again, the time. If you work a job Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and you've been doing it for years, if you love your
Mm-hmm.
job, awesome. Congratulations and great for you. You're one of the lucky ones. There's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people who are, working a job because they have to make ends meet and they're stuck in something they don't like. They might work with them,
Totally.
people they don't like or whatever it is. And now all of a
Yeah.
sudden you're out of work, you're out of school. There's nothing you can do. I can't remember the time I've ever seen the world so quiet and slow. One of the benefits, fresher air, quieter. It's amazing out there. I can actually hear the church bell from 3 blocks away. We've heard it for the now, because we never used to be able to hear it
Water
before. We're like, is there
cleaner.
a church around here? What's going on?
I know the
Right?
water
The air is
cleaner.
cleaner.
Canadian geese are walking down my street on the road
I
now.
know. So, what I wanted to share was, if you're out there, folks, and you're one of those people who have been in that routine, and all of a sudden, because it happened to me before, where I was a workaholic, man. I worked all the time. And then when I stopped working for a number of different reasons, I was like, what do I do with my time? Who am I? What do I like to do if I'm not out there working, being an entrepreneur and at it 16 hours a day, 8 days a week?
Yeah.
And then it stops. And now all of a sudden it's like all these things are going to percolate because you're going to have time. You'll start doing some things. They'll be fun. Maybe it's like, your relationship might popping a little bit. And like our friend Jeff Lobeck said last week, anything that kind of gets magnified now, it existed before. Now you just have the time to deal with it, and it's happening,
The
right?
light is shining on everything that's ready to come to the
Yeah.
surface for transformation.
Yeah, and you talk about stepping up and taking action, take responsibility for your life. This is a great time to learn, read a book, write a book,
Yeah.
right? Continue to learn, develop new habits,
Decide,
change some eating habits, do a
yeah,
cleanse.
decide what you want to do. What
Yeah,
do you want to
this
do
is a
part
time.
of this?
What a beautiful time to reinvent who you are, and not even to reinvent who you are, but to really find your true, authentic self.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be a gift for humanity, right? Imagine how that would change everything.
Well, imagine everybody sharing their gifts. I have so many clients that come saying, listen, this has been happening for a long time. The world has been ready to pop for some time. There have been some who have found their way and have been really stepping into their gifts and what they're most passionate about and sharing those gifts with the world, their life purpose, right? And so, it's like popcorn. I think people are popping right now, and everybody has the opportunity
Mm-hmm.
to take stock of, okay, what was working and what wasn't working. Where was I not listening or not following my deeper call, where, you know, we have an opportunity to step in and listen to our intuition during these times with everything that's flying out there. You know, what really resonates with you? What doesn't resonate with you? Again, what kind of world do you want to create? You know, when everything shifts, and we don't know where everything's going to go. Listen, you know, it really reminds me too of times, and I've said this a couple of times in the last week. I've sat with plant medicines, and can I share? Can I share about? I don't know if I can. Can I share about plant medicines on this at all?
You can say whatever you want. You know, now what I will say is the views of, you know, our guests and our, you know, even myself are not necessarily the views of Co-op Radio or Conscious Living Network or Conscious Living Radio. This is a conscious conversation, and I invite anybody who joins us. And so if you're watching right now, hey, please say hi in the comments and tell us where you're from. And I put a link up there so you can join us if you want to join us for the last half of our program. If you have any questions or comments or shares. But yeah, you can share whatever you want, because I'm not about censorship. Brian Rose said it best when he was talking about David Icke and the London Real stuff they've been doing. He says, I don't necessarily believe everything David Icke is saying. He says, but I do believe in freedom of speech. So you're, you know,
Right.
And I give you the freedom. This is a platform for you to speak. Everybody's responsible to make their own meaning and definition. And you know, I just accept and be without any judgment.
Right. Perfect. Thank you. So I'll give an example of kind of two different things that may resonate with people. So one, I'll start with the ayahuasca. So I have journeyed with ayahuasca many times. I worked with tribes from Brazil, and the way that I compare is what's going on right now is I remember numerous times, you know, sitting with ayahuasca days in a row, and on the other side of that, what it was like for me was my entire paradigm had been ripped apart. My identity had been totally shattered, and it was like, you know, a lot of people go into crises during that time. And we can compare it to say, like a pro athlete. And I think Tony talks about this too. Tony Robbins talks about this in how when people lose their identity, people typically go into a depression or anxiety or suicide or all of these things, or they go to addictions, other kinds of addictions. Right now, social media can be
and there's a and one side note on identity, because it's our most driving force in our human psychology. We will work harder to act, behave, and show up in a way of who we believe we are. And if you believe you are your job, if I am a barista at Starbucks, if I'm the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, if I drive a Porsche, if I drive a beater, all identity stuff. And it's a deep, deep thing. So I think thank you for sharing that, because it's so powerful. And this is what's kind of boiling up. Who am I?
Right. Exactly. Right. So again, you know, when pro athletes, you know, they're injured a lot of times. This is just an example. You can use it however way you want, but this is just the example. When they're injured and they can't go back to who they were. They can't play the game anymore. A lot of them go again into a depression or, you know, addictions of some sort. And so again, I'm kind of looking at this. What I'm noticing is really that people feel their identity has been ripped away, and they're pissed off, or they're frustrated, or they're grasping, or, you know, and my experience with working with ayahuasca is on the other side. And it took me a few times to realize, oh, okay, great. I know on the other side that this is what's going to happen. But I think most of humanity and society is not used to everything being like, you know, the rug pulled out from under them. And so I'm kind of grateful to the medicines right now. I'm super grateful for having that opportunity to start kind of practicing and learning that. And then what happens is it pulls all of the stuff out that we no longer need. And from here, we get to now create a foundation. Create a foundation for the life that you want to create after all of this.
Mm-hmm.
That might mean quitting your job. I remember it.
You might not have a job to go back to, and I don't mean to say that to freak anybody out. You might not have to quit,
Right. Right. And
right?
so here's an opportunity again, looking at continually focusing on one, what you're grateful for, what you do have right now, what you can provide right now, what you can focus on right now. Look for the
Mm-hmm.
greatness, the blessings. The sun is out. The birds are chirping, I know for us, I mean, I'm really grateful. I know in lots of places right now, people aren't even allowed out of their house. I'm really grateful to live in a province where we can still step out and go for a walk. In fact, the doctors are recommending to still get out and exercise. So I'm super, super grateful for that, and build an at-home gym. There are tons of things that you can do. Get creative. This is a time to get your creative juices going and really, dig deep. Dig deep.
Mm-hmm.
But don't take it as a time to focus on things that you have no control over. We don't have control over certain things, and being unkind and spreading more unkindness through the world while everybody's already afraid. Consider the impact that it's going to have. You don't know who that person is on the other side of that computer. You don't know if they're struggling.
Mm-hmm.
People are bullying each other for even leaving houses, notes being left on doors. I'm hearing all kinds of stuff. We don't know whether that person was ready to commit suicide and the only thing that stopped them was to actually get out of their house. So just find some compassion,
Oh my
really,
gosh, yes.
and spread it. And spread it. Invite other people to really step into that compassion, that humility right now, to really look
Mm-hmm.
for what we're grateful for and the blessings that we have. At the end of the day, we still have so much more than so many people in the world.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
You know,
oh my God.
God forbid we have to stay home and watch, and sit with ourselves even, sit with ourselves.
Well, that's the some of the biggest parts right now, right? Is getting to know yourself, what you're going to do with your time, and really, you know, make peace with yourself and make the best of the situation. One of the things that I want to share you because in great in these times, there's a lot of opportunity because necessity being the mother of invention, people have to adapt and overcome and do different things. Like even in the medical profession, where they've made little headbands with buttons on it to protect the health workers' ears,
Right.
because
Yeah.
the bands or the masks were bugging them. So
Yeah.
necessity, mother of invention. A woman for the deaf, she put a in the mask so they can see the lips for lip reading. Those are just two
Oh, that's
examples.
great. Oh, that's
Yeah,
great.
so there's all sorts of things going on out there. So take a look and see what you can do and to make the best of the situation. And I'm no stock expert. I'm barely an investor in that sort of stuff, but I do know a lot of things within it, and I know some people doing very well in it right now
Yeah.
because this is the time when everything's on sale. Right?
Right.
There's great companies on sale. And Robert Kiyosaki, if you don't know who he is, anybody out there, he's the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and he's a very, very well known, very, very brilliant man in terms of finances and everything else. Highly recommend his book. But I would say what he says was because I love it. I'm going to get rich. And he wasn't being flippant. He was just planned and prepared. In 2008, when everybody lost a ton of money,
Yeah.
he made a lot of money because he
Mhm.
was preparing for these, because this kind of stuff happens all the time. Because one little nugget that I like to share with everybody is everything in life is a pattern. Everything. Our language, our DNA, the building blocks of life, everything is a pattern from the ground up,
Mhm.
including the stock market. It's going to go up, it's going to go down, and it's going to happen again. And there's usually about a 7-8 year cycle. So start
Yeah.
planning. Learn
Yeah.
from this for the next time. If you got some money, start looking in and take a little online stock course because everybody's selling them right now because people who know stocks are playing it. I know a couple of people, they've made $250,000 in the past couple of weeks in the stock market. Right. I
Right.
know another guy who a couple of $1,000, he made $10,000 in literally, I think it was like 5 to 7 days,
Well, and so
So,
here's the thing, there's opportunity all around
mhm,
us. If we look
yeah.
for it. If we stay stuck and glued to everything, yes, I understand, people want to listen to the news and that's fine if that's your thing. It's not my thing. personally. It's not my thing. And I've had my own experience.
Oh, is that, are you talking the stocks and stuff?
What's that?
What wasn't your thing? I missed that. It just cut out.
Oh, I said, it doesn't matter. Don't trust me.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If it
Well,
matters, I share it.
hey, stocks aren't my thing either. I'm just saying for those of you interested, it's in,
Yeah,
if that's what it was.
absolutely. And so here's the thing: there's opportunity around us if we put our intention and our focus in opportunity rather in lack of. It's
Mm-hmm.
there's so many great things in this world. I get the fears. I really do get the fears. And right now, we really have an opportunity to step out and help each other.
Now, you're not fearful though, right? You just understand and get people's
Yeah,
fear. Okay.
absolutely. Yeah, I'm not living in a state of fear. I don't know. For me personally, I don't believe that I can share my gifts and live my purpose if I'm living in fear and sharing that. I'm like, oh, I'm an action taker. So if I see something that I feel is unjust, I'm also a Libra. So I'm the scales of justice.
Yeah.
so if I see something that I feel is unjust, I will move towards finding a solution. So I tend to be a bit of a problem solver.
Yeah, me too.
So, yeah, and you know what I would love for people to share in the comments, and I believe it's Shaylin
And they can
mentioned.
join us. They can actually join us. If they click on that link
Right.
in the window, it'll pop them into our staging area, and we've still
Perfect.
got 20 minutes before
Right.
we
And
have to go complete
so
the
Shaylin,
conscious living, conscious conversations version on co-op radio. We always like to give them call out. It's kind of part of the deal that's required by the Broadcasting Corporation. So you're listening to Conscious Living Radio, Conscious Conversations with Mark Huron, with my guest Rama Achala, and we are here on 100.5 CFRO FM in Vancouver, Co-op Radio. So thanks for joining us. And anybody, we'd love to hear what you have to say and what's working for you.
yeah,
And let's have a conversation.
And if you have questions, but also if I can share, Shaylin, thank you for writing that. Beautiful. She said, leave love notes for your neighbors. So instead of us, harping on each other and leaving unkind letters, or, why don't we go out? I remember there was one time, it was quite interesting, an interesting story to share. So I used to own an integrative health center with 25 doctors and practitioners. That was the business that I had, probably about 8 or 9 years ago now. And I remember we were doing the build out for the space. And when we were doing the build out, I remember I was sitting in the bath one day and I was so frustrated because the build out was taking so much longer than I anticipated, and as build outs do. And I remember thinking to myself, oh, I can't share my gifts until the doors open to the space. And I thought, wow, what a limiting belief, Rama. I thought, well, how is it then that I can share my gifts? How can I be of service to the world? What can I provide? How can I show up right now? And so I then started, for weeks until everything was finished, I started doing all kinds of stuff. Like, I mean, we can't do this now. I mean, we can do our own kind of versions of these. But I would go and put a toonie. For anyone who's from the States and doesn't know, that's like a $2.
I'm looking for one right now to show you.
And I would put it into the shopping carts, and I would take like 5 of them, and I would share them with whoever was around and say, listen, if you need the money, keep the money. If you don't need it, just pay it forward. Or I would go and see friends and I would bring them flowers, or maybe you can order flowers and have them delivered, or maybe you can send messages just to some of the people that you love and your friends, just to remind them of how amazing they are. There's so many things.
I'm going to say, take that a step further. Phone them.
Yes, text them.
The other night, you and I hadn't spoken in a little while. Yeah, well, you and I hadn't spoken in a little while, right? It's like, picked up the phone. It's like, I don't want to have a text conversation. I have enough of that in my day. And which brings us down to what would be social closeness versus physical distancing.
Right.
We were having social closeness and we were physically distant.
Right.
But pick up the phone and call someone you haven't seen or talked to in a long time. and actually have a conversation, have the conversation.
Yeah. Get
Yeah,
creative. I love
absolutely.
doing dream catchers and, like, and smudging fans and things like that. What a
Hmm.
good opportunity.
Yeah. And, make the best of it. Meditation, I find is a great way. And right now, we're in Vancouver. It's gorgeous, like a summer day out there in the afternoon right now. And, it's, you can still go for a walk here in Vancouver, and you can still get
Mhm.
out in the park as long as you're physically distant and not congregating, I believe, in groups of more than 50 or something. I don't know. I'm not even 100% sure, but that's what I
Yeah,
hear.
it's 50 still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the biggest big niches that are growing right now in out there is gardening. If you ever want to
Mhm.
grow some vegetables, you can do, even if
Oh,
you're in
yeah.
an apartment, you can do some great stuff in planters and pots. You can do a whole container garden on your patio, and there's
Yeah.
nothing better than being able to go out and enjoy some nature and something fresh and get your hands into dirt and ground, and then you get a chance to eat some great fresh organic clean food that you grew
Yeah.
yourself, and there's nothing more enjoyable and healthy for you than that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm gonna do too. I'm gonna head out and start building my kale jungle.
Yeah. And
I love kale because it can last throughout the winter too.
yeah,
All the
it's
crows
pretty
even
hardy.
eat most of my kale through the winter. So at
Ah,
least they're healthy with my organic kale.
well, that's great. And I know what one of the things that's given me the opportunity to get done, and I share this just as, hopefully some inspiration. In our community home, we've been talking about wanting to do some good gardening and organic gardening and things, and everybody's so busy being busy, and now we're not as busy. And
Right.
we've created some great big planter boxes in the back. We had 4 yards of organic veggie soil delivered. All of our pots are filled. We are ready. We are planting. We got some seeds started, and we're following the almanac and the moon cycles and all of that sort of interesting stuff that we're learning in the plant medicine world, so that we can do it right. And we're going to enjoy this great community garden that we're going to have in our very own backyard. So it's something that I've had the opportunity and been blessed to be able to share that, for all of us, and be working with our community. And what a great way to bond and connect. And we're blessed in our home, but I don't know what community gardens are doing out there right now in Vancouver. I know there are a lot. Maybe there can still be a member of something like that. But, it's making the best of what you got.
I wholeheartedly agree. And again, just come back to asking people like, are you going to judge each other during these times and condemn them and throw each other away, or are you going to
Hmm.
find some, compassion for them and
Yeah.
and humility, and ask yourself why? Why do I have to have people in my life that all
Yeah.
see the
Thanks,
same way?
Patrick, for joining us. Patrick says he's got to leave. He was watching. See ya.
Hi, Pat.
Yeah, and
Love you, brother.
Felicia talks about gardens, and learning about it is expanding our freedom and ability, going gung ho. One nugget on the gardens. My grandfather and my grandparents, they were Dutch. My grandfather was Dutch on his side. My grandmother was French. But the one thing I learned that my grandfather shared with me one day is his parents. So my great grandparents, they always said, always have a home where you can have a plot of land so you can always grow your own food. That was one of the
Yeah,
things they taught. And then my grandfather was
yeah,
always, wherever he was, he always had something growing. If it was potatoes and tomatoes and, easy
yeah.
things or whatever it was, wherever he was, that's what he always had. Because then you don't have to rely on the supermarkets and things in a different way. And a good friend of ours in the spirit plant medicine world, Lori Schneider, we're working on something right now, so that we can go out, and then she does edible plant walks and medicinal plant walks.
I love
So we're
Lori.
going to start doing things. I'm going to introduce her to our community in our backyard and look at all the edible, teable, tincturable things in our backyard, because there's going to be lots, and I already know there is. And then we're going to do some sort of an online program so we can invite people, and we're going to go to for walks, and just even down the streets in your neighborhood. Apparently you would be surprised at what's out there that you can eat, smoke. You can do all sorts of different things, make
Oh,
tinctures
for
and
sure.
medicines and all sorts of stuff. So it's really quite interesting. So we look forward to that. And that's why I want to encourage people to step up and step outside of maybe your comfort zone, and learn something new. I've got some online courses that I have to finish that I haven't started yet because I got so many things going on. But trust me, that I'm going to get there eventually. Again, read some books. But there's a lot of people in their their way of getting, making the best of the situation. They're actually getting some stuff done. They're putting some great content and material and things online. A lot of it's free. A lot of it is low price, and you can be entertained. You can be educated, and it's all out there. Now that's a segue into something I finally did, and it was funny. I was speaking with a gentleman in a webinar meeting we were in last week, and he said the same thing that I really resonated. He says, I run a lot of these online meetings and do all these other things for all these other people and everything he does. And he says, and now I'm doing the first one of mine, of my own. And I say that because I decided, I've worked on put together some programs in the past, and I dabbled, and I was always busy with other things, and I never really launched them. So what I decided to do is, for the month of April, I just put together it's from every Monday 7 to 8:30. I'm calling it the Better Everyday Life Project, and we're talking about these things. I'm going to share tangible tools that you can use to create change in anytime, anywhere, in any area of your life for yourself and others. We're going to keep it simple. We're going to keep it fun. It's not expensive. It's only like $10, right? And we're going to have a lot of fun and really, be an interactive opportunity for some group coaching, some shares, some distinctions, and just, if you're struggling or you're looking for different ways to make the best of what's going on today, this is a great opportunity to do it.
We can actually put that all into the comments, and so people,
I'm gonna
for the time right now, and then we can.
Absolutely.
You can just.
But I just wanted to share that because we are doing different events. It's Conscious Living Network, Conscious Living Radio. Some of the things that we do is different events, and we've got a number of different things going on. Every Thursday, there's a live event going on, and I'm just inspiring people to, step outside and find different things. Whether it's with me or Rama, I don't know if you've got anything going on online right now. Any group work or anything like that, but it's just important as we build community to keep connecting,
I'm happy to share that at the end.
Keep sharing. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm happy to share that at the end. I just want to make sure that that we stay on topic for what this conversation, the asking about the conversation, to share this kind of conversation, and I mean, I can put some stuff in the comments, no problem, and I just I want people to value the time right now and get.
And I never want to take away value. I just want to give people tools and techniques and point them in the right direction so that they can create a better everyday life for themselves, because, not everybody's doing as awesome as I am or you are, or making the best of it. So they need to have tools, and they need to know where to go find them. Yeah,
absolutely. So any tools, we can put them in the comments. And I'm curious if anybody has any questions, if anybody, has anything to share or they'd like us to share. How much time do we have left, Mark?
We have about 5 minutes or so officially. We put the shout out, and we didn't have anybody join us in our staging area. We've had a few comments in the comments, what we have there, but we don't have, nobody's joined us in our staging area, in our waiting room. So I guess nobody wants to talk to us live online.
I think it might just be a little bit more challenging to get to the messages. Let me see. We can check and see if there's anybody out there that wants to.
Felicia Muriel says, Lori is a great friend and she's a great resource. So that's one thing we have there.
She is a great resource. I really love Lori. She's amazing.
Yeah. And she's also saying Raleigh Park Community Garden is going well. Felicia, why don't you join us and pop your face up and maybe ask us a question or share something what's going on for you if you have any great insight and tools you want to share with the world. This is the nice thing I love about this platform, and it's one of the interesting things about radio and talk radio that we found, in the history of Conscious Living Radio, is when you do like a caller show and you want to engage our audience, it's amazing how many people don't call in sometimes, and you think you have a great topic. And I know Tasha has been excited a number of times. It's like, yeah, this is going to be great. Let's get our callers to call in, or our listeners to call in. And it's we'd like to think that it'd be, the lines would be ringing off the hook, but it doesn't quite happen. So, but that's okay.
Well, maybe if nobody has a question for us, I have questions for other people.
Yes.
And they can either put it in the comments or, keep it for yourself if you want to. Some of the questions that I wrote down, because I felt like it was really important to ask everybody, was, You know, during these times, now who are you going to show up as? Who will you be during these times? How do you want to show up? Will you judge, condemn, and throw each other away? Or will you have compassion and humility and invite people in for a conversation? Will you be part of the problem, or you can be part of the solution? You know, do we move together, you know, forward together, or do we create more separation? Will you step into your greatness with kindness, compassion, love, and gratitude? Let's see. I think that's most of them. Hang on, let me read this one last one. Oh, right. And before posting anything on social media, ask yourself, you know, why? Why do you need to share? And is it going to be helpful? Really, is it going to make a difference, or are you just trying to convince somebody to see it your way? I think that's powerful. I think right now, I know I am checking myself too. At the beginning I got caught in it too, and then I was like, oh,
you've
no.
cut out a couple of times there. I don't know what I missed you there.
I know at the beginning that I got caught up in some of this as well, and then I took a step back and I said, why am I doing all of this? What is it really that I want to share with the world? You know, what is really going to be most supportive and helpful to all of humanity on a bigger scale, not just my opinion, not just some posts, not just some, you know, I'm like, I want to invite people to really step into their heart right now, to really step up as leaders, to really lead the way right now, and to show compassion and humility and move forward united, rather than continuing to support in some of the dialogue that is creating more separation.
Yeah, I can totally agree with that, because I had my own experience sharing a couple of things. I certainly have my own opinions. I don't know what's true. I don't know what's not. I, quite frankly, years and years ago, I stopped reading the newspapers, listening to the news and everything else. I keep up to date on, you know, basic current events, but I don't go down those rabbit holes. I just live in my moment and live with what's around me, because that's what I can impact, and that's the world that I'm living in. Other than that, I'm not always so sure. And I think, you know, you start turning some of that off. I'm not saying don't be ignorant to what's going around in the world, but, you know, do we have to watch 12 hours of CNN or 18 hours of CNN and MSNBC and all of those things in a day? Or can you get 15 minutes because it repeats all the time anyways? Like, you know, how do you make those changes so that at least you're kept informed, yet not totally saturated in a world that because then that becomes your world. And when I don't do that, it's not my world. My world's my home, my garden, my life, my friends, you know, and keeping socially close and physically distant.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and just to speak to something you were talking about earlier, my dad and I have started doing some videos to share when my dad and I go out for walks.
I saw him eating the dandelion.
Yeah, so we've also now videotaped pine needles, and we're actually gonna do something together. I'll be sharing it on the Heart of Combo, probably on my personal page too, and our Heart of Combo page, Instagram and Facebook page. So just for some fun, for some lightness, you know, the father-daughter relationship can be fun and interesting at times, and so, you know, just being playful and getting out and sharing with the world. Just a little bit.
I love what you just said there about being playful, because that's one of the things I believe we have to be in our life is we have to be playful. I just put a link for your Heart of Combo down in the comments for it as well. So if people want to check that out, that's a bunch of work that Rama does in the medicine world. She's a great medicine worker, great healer, great coach. I'm just always honored and touched to, you know, have you as a good, close, dear friend of mine. And always a pleasure to have these conversations. It's always an eye-opener for me. I'm always learning things, always getting new distinctions, and anything that we can do to make the world a better place and impact humanity. I'm just happy to be there.
Yeah, and if anybody has any questions that come out of this, shoot the questions. I've been thinking about doing some videos maybe a couple times a week, and answering
Mm-hmm.
people's questions, and how can we keep the conversation going in a loving, kind, way, with compassion, for one
Mm-hmm.
another. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Well,
And be more than good to each other, everyone. Be great, be outstanding, be compassionate, have fun, be playful, be present, right? And be inspired. Look for what's exciting and what the gifts are, and if you got lemon, what's that say? Life gives you lemons.
oh,
Make
wait.
lemonade,
Yeah, right. Hey, like,
right? You see lemonade
hey,
stands out everywhere.
I know. Oh, gosh. I have a good question. Think,
Oh.
if you believe in the law of attraction plays a part. Oh, yeah. Well, Shaylin, I will absolutely. I'm happy to have to do a video, a few-minute video at some point, and post that and answer.
And we can carry on a little bit longer if people want to answer a few questions. I'm just going to wrap up the official part of the program today for our pre-recorded episode of Conscious Living. This is Conscious Conversations on 100.5 FM CFRO Co-op Radio here in Vancouver. My name is Mark Cron. My guest today was Rama Achala, just talking about how to step up and make the best of these most uncertain and interesting times. So thank you for that, Rama, and we look forward to being on again. Doing some extra content for Co-op Radio. So thank you so much. And if you want to support Co-op Radio, coopradio.org and consciousliving.radio.org is our website. You can follow up this show there as well. So thank you so much for watching and listening, everyone. And we'll see you again next time.
Perfect. Yay.